The human body was created to withstand the heat of life, but the heat that warms us can also consume us. And without realizing it, millions of people today walk around with their bodies on fire, a fire that doesn't burn on the outside, but on the inside. There is a fire that cannot be seen. It makes no noise, it doesn't emit smoke, but it corrodes everything slowly. Science calls it chronic inflammation. The soul calls to it a weariness that never goes away, and modern life calls it routine. This flame is born in silence, in a sleepless night, during a hurried lunch, in a repeated thought that says, "I need to endure it." Every day you ignore your body, that fire grows. It feeds on sugar, anxiety, lack of sleep, haste, artificial light, and pent-up emotion. It's the invisible price of survival. The body tries to put out the fire, but the fuel keeps coming. While you believe you are out of energy, in reality, your body is using all of it to put out the fire. That's why it hurts. That's why it's heavy. That's why, even when you sleep, you wake up exhausted, as if you never really rested. Dr. Casey Means explains that inflammation is the biological language of imbalance. Each cell reacts as if there were a war raging inside you. And, in a way, there is. It's the body trying to defend itself from a life that has forgotten how to be natural. And the cruelest part is that we've learned to call this normal. It's normal to feel like your mind is clouded. It's normal to be irritable. It's normal to depend on coffee, sugar, screens, and noise to keep functioning. But normal is not synonymous with healthy. It's simply the name we give to an entire society burning in silence. The silent fire is the result of everything we call progress. We eat faster, sleep later, and breathe less deeply. We live connected to the world, but disconnected from our own bodies. And the body, that temple that houses life, tries to warn us in every way possible. It sends small, almost delicate signal, a headache, mild nausea, inflamed skin, sadness for no reason. But nobody listens. We're too busy trying to put out fires outside to realize that the bigger fire is inside. Inflammation is treacherous because it is slow. It disguises itself as bad mood, tiredness, insomnia. And when it finally explodes in the form of an illness, it has already been burning for years. The heart, the intestines, the brain, everything becomes inflamed when life loses its rhythm. And there is no remedy that can replace the silence that the body craves. Casey Means says that inflammation is the body trying to heal itself, but without the means to do so. It's like an exhausted firefighter trying to contain the flames with a leaky bucket. The energy that should be used for living is diverted to surviving. And what remains is a constant feeling of being at war with one's own body. Some call it burnout, anxiety, or adrenal fatigue, but the name doesn't matter much. The fire is the same. It starts small, in the cells, and when it spreads, it affects the mind, the mood, the faith. It sets everything it touches on fire. Look around, angry people in traffic, bodies bent over screens, hearts racing from fear and caffeine, automatic smiles, tired eyes. It's a portrait of an inflamed society where haste has become an addiction and rest a luxury. But fire is not the enemy. He is the warning. Inflammation is the body asking to be heard. And if you listen to him now, there's still time to extinguish the embers before they consume everything. Take a deep breath, feel the air coming in. This simple act, breathing consciously, is the first drop of water on the fire, because the fire in the body begins when we forget the oxygen of the soul. An inflamed body doesn't want punishment, it wants peace. And all peace begins with presence. The origin of the fire. Inflammation doesn't arise from nothing. It's ignited by everyday rituals so common they seem innocent. The first match strikes when we wake up too tired to listen to our bodies, yet we still rush through life. The second is when coffee replaces water and our cell phones replace sunlight. Then come foods that no longer resemble Earth. Shiny packaging selling instant energy that biology doesn't recognize. Small decisions, repeated for years, become embers. And those embers one day become a wildfire. The fire starts at the table, not out of guilt, but out of habit. Haste demands shortcuts. Shortcuts demand ultra-processed foods. Ultra-processed foods demand more of themselves. Flavors calibrated to seduce, textures designed for addiction, colors that don't exist in the natural world. The body tries to participate, but finds no common ground. Peaks and valleys of glucose, hunger that returns sooner, a feeling of satiety without nutrition. It's like filling the tank with fuel that shines but doesn't burn. The flame doesn't warm, it chars. Then comes the wrong light at the wrong time. We trade dawn for screens, dusk for notifications, night for a blue glare that confuses the mind and disrupts the internal clock. The body, born to follow the sun, loses its rhythm. Sleep arrives late, light, and broken. Waking comes earlier, heavy and hostile. Without true rest, even emotions flare. Thoughts buzz louder. Patience burns faster. Affection evaporates more easily. There's also shortness of breath. We breathe as if we fear our own chest, up there where the air is shallow. The whole day is a race without a finish line. And in the race, nobody remembers to inhale. Shortness of breath sends a silent message: danger. The body understands the alarm and prepares a defense. Continuous defense becomes a state, and the state of alert, when it lasts too long, transforms into a toxic atmosphere within one's own home. Noise is another fuel. The modern world has turned our attention into a marketplace. And where there is an auction of the mind, there is inflammation of the spirit. We spend hours being dragged along by opinions, fears, and comparisons. The nervous system learns that nothing is safe, not even silent. The heart races without a race. The stomach contracts without hunger. The shoulder rises without weight. Everything becomes tense. Everything turns into a spark. The city burns for us too. Sirens, horns, deadlines, promises. The body absorbs what it cannot avoid. Particles in the air. Haste. Lack of greenery. Concrete doesn't return sound. It returns echo. And the echo multiplies the feeling of being besieged. Where there is no horizon, there is no breath. Where there is no horizon, hope dwindles. And short hope is fuel for any fire. Finally, there is loneliness. And perhaps it is the most potent fuel. We live surrounded by voices, but poor in presence. Conversations are full. Encounters are empty. Touch is rare. Glances are hurried. Listening disappears. The soul, without witnesses, screams louder. And every unanswered scream becomes inner heat. The body feels what language cannot name. And what language cannot name returns as pain. Society calls this productivity. But meaningless productivity only creates ashes. When life becomes an endless spreadsheet, the heart becomes a minute counter. And biology doesn't know how to generate profit. It knows how to generate rhythm. The mitochondria, that little energy furnace, doesn't operate well under black myth. It responds to clear signal, morning light, food that looks like food, purposeful movement, honest rest, human warmth. Give it the opposite and it will obey, but it will obey by disrupting everything. Ultimately, it's not about isolated nutrients, nor about rigid rules. It's about coherence. The body seeks coherence like a plant seeks sunlight. When the day says work, but the blood says fear. When the plate says sweet, but the tissue says ancient hunger. When the agenda says go, but the soul says stop, a fracture opens. Inflammation is the callus of this fracture. The organism's attempt to protect what cracks every time we deny ourselves. We also learn to confuse stimulus with life. Stimulus is a spark. Life is the ember that sustains. An endless feed gives the feeling of being connected to the world. But what connects us to life is the ground. Gravity beneath our feet, the wind on our face, the weight of objects in our hand. Without ground, we float anxiously. And anxiety, when it finds no ground, digs a hole in the chest. The hole pulls in air. The air enters quickly. The rapid becomes the norm. And from norm to norm, the organism rewrites its maps for short-term survival. The origin of the fire is therefore multifactorial and everyday. There is no single villain. There is a coalition of excesses. Too much sugar, too much light at night, too much noise all the time, too much haste as a virtue, too much solitude as a rule, too little sun, too little water, too little pause, too little touch, too little silence. Faced with this, the body does what it can. It raises microscopic walls, summons invisible guards, increases its internal vigilance. It is its way of saying, I'm still trying to keep you whole. And the mind, which believes itself to be the director, criticizes the actor. We call tiredness laziness, pain fussiness, hunger weakness, tears drama. We speak with disdain of what is, in fact, strategy. Each symptom is a containment maneuver. Each irritation is a boundary demanding respect. Each lapse in memory is a circuit breaker trying to prevent a short circuit. Biology doesn't sabotage, it preserves. The origin of the fire, then, is not an event. It's an education. We were educated to applaud excess, to romanticize exhaustion, to set fire to our own time to illuminate other people's rooms. But the body doesn't applaud. It registers, and the registration becomes a trail. The more times we repeat it, the easier it becomes to repeat. Life calls this habit, and to the habit that hurts, life calls a warning. On the map of existence, each choice is a potential match. Some warm, others ignite. Learning the difference is not a matter of morality, it's elegant survival. It's not about purism, but about precision. Which gesture fuels the flame that cooks the food and warms the house? And which gesture fuels the fire that consumes the structure? The same element, fire, builds or destroys depending on where it rests. If the question is, where does the inflammation come from? The honest answer is, from everything that takes us away from our natural rhythm. And the natural rhythm is not it is profound. It is possible to live in the city, pay bills, use technology, and still respect your inner rhythm. But first, you need to recognize that the fire exists. The rest of the journey doesn't begin with supplements, nor with slogans. It begins with the radical act of admitting, something is burning inside me, because when fire is seen, it begins to change color. And a fire that changes color may one day learn to warm without destroying. The inflamed mind. The mind is the mirror of the body. And when the body becomes inflamed, the mirror fogs up. Thoughts become jumbled, emotions become confused, and what was once just physical exhaustion transforms into existential burden. Inflammation crosses the boundary between biology and soul, and the burning becomes internal. The brain is made of electricity and silent. It depends on clean energy to function, stable glucose, constant oxygen, neurotransmitters in harmony. But when inflammation sets in, that balance is disrupted. The brain waves lose their rhythm. Thoughts become noise, and the silence, which was once a refuge, becomes frightening. An inflamed mind is like a house where all the lights are flashing at the same time. There are too many signs, but not enough direction. You feel your heart racing, but there's no race. She feels fear, but there is no threat. She feels guilty, but there's no clear reason. It's the body sending out alarms that the brain interprets as emotion. And the result is confusion, a constant state of something is wrong, even when everything seems normal. Casey Means often says that an inflamed body robs the mind of clarity, and she's right. When cells are under attack, the brain doesn't think, it survives. Rationality gives way to defense. Ideas lose depth. The focus is lost. Creativity dries up. It's like trying to paint while a fire consumes the studio. That's why so many people feel anxious without knowing why. Anxiety is the chemical echo of inflammation. The body sends warning signals, and the brain, unable to decipher them, creates narratives to justify the alarm. We invent problems to give form to fear. But fear is merely a misinterpretation of the body's need for rest. Depression can also stem from the same source. When the body fights for too long, it conserves energy by shutting down what is not vital. First enthusiasm, then pleasure, then desire. The flame dies down until only ash remains, and the world loses its color. The person doesn't understand, but the body is simply trying to survive, using as little light as possible. And then there's the constant irritation, the short fuse of an overheated humanity. Every comment feels like an attack. Every delay becomes an offense. We live in a state of emotional turmoil, ready to explode at the slightest spark. It's not a lack of character, it's an overload. A tired nervous system responds with anger because it lacks the energy for patience. An inflamed mind is also a mind without rest. The mind never sleeps, the body never rests, the spirit never shuts down. Even in silence, there is noise. Even in bed, there is a warning sign. And this creates a cruel paradox. The more we try to relax, the more the body understands that there is danger. Because we forget the basics, rest is not the absence of movement. It is inner movement. Inflammation doesn't just burn tissue, it burns the senses. She dims the light of her presence. It transforms entire days into automatic repetition. It makes time seem like a cycle of survival, not of life. And when meaning disappears, the mind seeks any substitute. Distraction, dopamine, consumption, noise. But each attempt to fill the void is just more fuel for the fire. Modern humans are constantly trying to numb themselves. The fire burning inside hurts too much to be felt. So we seek quick relief, a sweet treat, a notification, a purchase, a sip, a like. But all of this is gasoline, and the more we try to extinguish the flame with immediate pleasure, the more it grows. Dopamine replaces serotonin. Excitement replaces contentment. Stimulation replaces calm. The soul races, but it is not happy. An inflamed mind is also a mind without faith. Not in a religious sense, but in the sense of the faith that motivates. Inflammation makes the world seem darker, more threatening, smaller. You stop believing in possibilities because your tired body can't see the horizon. What the soul calls hopelessness, biology calls brain inflammation. It's the same flame, seen by another name. Mental fire is not poetry, it's chemistry. Inflamed neurotransmitters cease to communicate accurately, serotonin decreases, dopamine fluctuates, cortisol rises, and what we call an emotional crisis is often a body short-circuiting. Modern science is beginning to understand that healing the mind also means reducing inflammation in the body, and the opposite is also true. Healed emotions help cells breathe better. Body and mind are threads of the same web. When one catches fire, the other feels the heat. Casey Means puts it simply, there is no such thing as a healthy mind in an inflamed body. And that's one of the most uncomfortable truths of our time, because we've become accustomed to treating mind and body as enemies, when in fact they are allies. Medicine has separated what nature created together. And the result is a humanity full of diagnoses, but empty of understanding. The body sends signals, the mind misinterprets them. The mind responds with more fear, the body reacts with more inflammation. It's a cycle, and the cycle is only broken when one of the two decides to stop. When someone breathes and says, enough, but few reach that point. Most just keep going, living in emergency mode, smiling so as not to collapse, pretending to be strong when it's exhaustion. An inflamed mind forgets what is light. Forget about what is simple. Forget what silence is. And forgetting is dangerous, because what is not remembered is repeated. We keep repeating the noise until it becomes our identity. And when noise becomes who we are, the fire no longer frightens. It only consumes. But sometimes, between one thought and another, there's a flash of insight, a moment of lucidity that says, this is not normal. A breath that comes from within, reminding us that the mind was made to create, not to burn. That breath is the body trying to return to harmony, and if it's still blowing, there's hope. Because fire, even when it destroys, also illuminates what needs to be rebuilt. The body that asks for peace. The body doesn't want war. He just wants to be heard. For years, he bore the weight of haste, fear, and automatic choices. He responded to everything we imposed. Caffeine instead of sleep, tension instead of rest, anger instead of expression. But now he sits down, tired, not to give up, but to ask for peace. A body that asks for peace doesn't make speeches. He whispers. And the whispers are simple: a knot in the stomach, a slight pain in the back, a tightness in the chest, an unexplained tiredness. These are not punishment. They are invitations to slow down, to breathe, to feel. But the world has taught us to run even from what hurts and what is not heard. The body speaks louder. Some people mistake this request for weakness, but the body is not weak. It is wise. He tries to balance everything that the mind throws out of balance. While you complain of pain, your body is in an emergency meeting, adjusting hormones, diverting energy, repairing invisible damage. He fights for you, even when you fight against him. Casey Means often says that every symptom is an interrupted conversation between the body and consciousness. And that makes sense. The body asks for peace, but the mind responds with medication, anesthesia, or denial. We want to put out the fire quickly, but the cure can't be rushed. Healing takes time. Healing is listening. Healing is humility. The body craves peace when the mind has already lost its breath, when the energy that was previously spent on productivity is now used to stay afloat. It is at this moment that he forces silence, sometimes in the form of a fever, others in the form of a crisis, and when all else fails, he shuts down, not for revenge, but for protection. It's the body saying, "You're not going to stop? Then I'll stop for you." The peace the body craves is not the absence of pain, it's the absence of resistance. He doesn't need you to blame yourself, he just needs you to listen to yourself. She doesn't want perfection, she wants presence. He knows the path to regeneration, but he needs you to stop getting in the way. And for most people, that's the hardest part, getting out of the way. Ultimately, the body knows how to return to balance. It's in their nature. Each cell has a memory of harmony. The heart wants to beat in the right rhythm. The blood wants to flow. The lungs want to expand. Health is the rule. Illness is the body's effort to adapt to error. But for him to come back, he needs the right condition. And these conditions are called rest, nutrition, and light. Rest is more than just sleeping. It's about allowing yourself not to produce, not to reciprocate, It's about disconnecting from an urgency that was never yours. It's about letting the body be its body, without pressure to perform. It's about lying down and trusting that the world won't end because you stopped. When this happens, the nervous system lowers its guard. Cortisol gives way to serotonin, and the body sighs. This sigh is the beginning of healing. Nutrition goes beyond just food. It's about what enters through the senses, what you read, listen to, watch, breathe. Every stimulus is either a nutrient or a toxin, and the body feels the difference. A light conversation can be just as effective at reducing inflammation as a good meal. A sunset can regulate hormones. The touch of someone who cares about you can reduce inflammation that medicine can't affect. Everything is chemistry, everything is energy, and the body is the stage where everything happens. Light, in turn, is the reminder. Sunlight awakens the cells and restores their rhythm. The light of consciousness, which illuminates what the mind insists on hiding. The light of forgiveness, which extinguishes what guilt has hardened. Fire destroys, but light transforms. And the body, when it begins to receive light instead of noise, understands that it can lower its weapon. Casey Means talks about it with disarming serenity. She says that the body doesn't need perfection, it needs the right environment. When the environment is hostile, the body defends itself. When it is welcomed, it flourishes. And this environment begins within, in the choices we make, The words we use, the thoughts we cultivate. Everything we think about is chemistry. Everything we feel is a sign. Everything we deny, the body translates. Therefore, a body that asks for peace does not want a miraculous cure. You want consistency. You want what you think to match what you do. You want what you feel to have space to exist. He wants you to go back to being who you were before the rush, because at its core, inflammation is the body's longing to live in harmony. And when he is finally heard, not with fear but with respect, something changes. Breathing deepens, the mind slows down, the heartbeat finds its rhythm. The energy that was previously spent putting out fires is now being used for construction. The same force that destroys can also regenerate, and the fire, which once burned, begins to illuminate. The body doesn't want to punish, it wants to communicate. He doesn't want to give up, he wants rest. And all true rest is a return to rhythm, to truth, to essence. And it is in this return that peace begins, not as a miracle, but as reconciliation. The return to good energy. The fire went out, not suddenly, but gradually, like someone learning to breathe again. Where there was once noise, now there is space. Where there was haste, there is now rhythm. And where there was pain, there is listening. The body finally remembers what it always knew. It was not made to live in war, but in flux. Casey Means calls this state good energy, but the name is merely a way of pointing to something deeper. The return to harmony between the biological and the essential. Good energy is when the body stops merely existing and starts participating in life again. When each cell makes peace with its environment, the mind becomes a habitable place again. After trying to survive for so long, the body finally learns to live. And living here is not a luxury. It's synchronicity. It's realizing that air flows easily, that the heart no longer races aimlessly, that sleep is rest, not escape. It's waking up with enthusiasm, not because the day promises great things, but because life is calling. Good energy doesn't come from supplements or complicated rules. It comes from reconciliation. When you eat mindfully, your body thanks you. When you breathe slowly, your blood calms down. When you laugh, your immune system flourishes. When you walk barefoot, your cells remember that they belong to the earth. It's simple, so simple that the modern world calls it alternative. But it's the opposite. It's as original as possible. Casey Means explains that health is the body doing what it was born to do: generate clean energy. And clean energy isn't just metabolic. It's emotional, spiritual, and social. It is the sum of everything that nourishes without inflaming. It's the consistency between what you think, feel, and experience. When these three align, the mitochondria sing. And when they sing, you feel it. The sparkle in her eyes returns. The weight disappears. Presence returns. Good energy is contagious. You can't see it, but you can feel it. A balanced body changes the environment. Speak calmly, walk lightly, look with interest, and that's more revolutionary than it seems. In an inflamed world, being a tranquil body is an act of rebellion. Being healthy is about resilience. Being light takes courage. The return to positive energy is the moment when you understand that healing is not destiny, it's direction. You don't need to be ready. You just need to be present. Every conscious breath is a repair. Every lucid choice is a spark of reconstruction. Each act of forgiveness is like a cell regenerate. Biology responds to subtle gesture. And the body, when it feels love, heals faster. Perhaps the secret lies in stopping trying to control. The body knows the way back. He needs space, not orders. He needs light, not guilt. He needs a break, not panic. Good energy is the body remembering what it's like to live without noise, and that only happens when you learn to trust again. Modern science calls this homeostasis, but the soul calls it peace. It's the point where everything fits together, where food nourishes, movement flows, and rest restores, where body, mind, and energy form a silent trinity, simple and powerful. It's a return to the frequency of life, and for the first time, everything seems to breathe together. You begin to see beauty in the mundane. Cold water on the face becomes meditation, breakfast becomes a ritual, silence becomes company, time slows down. Not because the world has stopped, but because the body has stopped running inside. And what was once a symptom is now language. The body no longer hurts, it talks. And this time, you listen. Good energy is when the body and mind regain trust in each other. It's forgiveness after the struggle. It's the understanding that comes after the pain. It's the clarity after the fever. It's not a permanent state. It's a reminder. You're going to lose your rhythm, and that's okay, because now he knows the way back. And this path is simple. Sleep under the night, live under the sun. Eat what comes from the land, not from the factory. Speak less, listen more. Breathe, feel, care. Good energy doesn't require effort, it requires presence. And presence is the opposite of haste. Casey Means wrote that Healing begins when you remember that your body is on your side. This phrase is the manifesto of the new health, a health that does not separate the physical from the emotional, food from affection, blood from the soul. Everything is one single field, vibrating in different directions. And when this field is harmonized, we call it a full life. The fire that once burned now warms. The embers turn to light. And in the calm reflex of one's own breathing, the body understands there is no need to run, fight, or prove anything. Just being there is enough. Good energy is this, the moment when the body, tired of asking for help, finally whispers, "Thank you for listening to me." Turn on notifications to receive new content and continue walking with us on this journey of reconnecting with your body, mind, and soul.